So you lower the standards to create more success, but in the end, it's strictly a regression. Do we have enough strong young men to actually have a strong military? Or do we protect them and tell them it's okay? Or do we lower the standards of what hard is? Do we push them to the point where they suffer?
My daughter brings me a paper that she's written. I read over it. I see mistakes. I go, reread this area here and tell me what you see.
Yes.
Controlled.
Yeah. I don't know if I experienced enough failure. I don't know if anyone knows if they experienced enough failure throughout life. Even you're 25 years old, you were prime in participation trophy era. You were training for war, and the object of war is to kill your enemy. That is what these soldiers are training for. Do we really want that in the streets of America? The cultures of the countries that we are going to war with, they do not parallel the acceptance rate that we do here in the United States. The Islamic culture, they're not exactly big fans of women, gays. I'm pretty sure if you brought up the term DEI to the Taliban, they wouldn't quite know what you meant. Whenever it comes to society, one of those basics is probably that book that we could probably pick up and read called the Bible.
This is the New Dead Order podcast. My name is Ray. Got Parfait over there.
How's it going, everybody? Ray, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
No, you're doing well. You're always doing well. It's great to hear that you're still doing well. But this is a continuation of our conversation about Hegseth's speech that happened, 2 weeks ago or so. It provoked a lot of thought in both of our heads. It was a lot about the military and returning to certain standards. I couldn't help but think about those standards that he spoke of and applying them to my daily life. And the standards that are being lowered throughout the military, and we see standards being lowered throughout our society just to allow people to, quote unquote, succeed, right? Mm-hmm. So you lower the standards to create more success, but in the end, it's strictly a regression. And I think that that is something that we are witnessing on a daily basis. You're a youth coach. There's no doubt that from the time that you played youth sports to playing Division I football at Pitt to now being involved in youth sports as a coach, that you have had to see the standards of what's expected being lowered. And I think that's it's a broad thing that's happened across society. And I think that we have a soft culture. With these standards that he spoke of in the military being lowered in order to allow people promotion and all, I started to think that, are we too weak of a society to actually have a strong military going forward because we've lowered the standards so much for our kids today? Do we have enough strong young men to actually have a strong military? Real quick before we get started, guys, Thursday. Thursday is the thing that I have relied on over the last 8 months to get me back into recovery and get a good night's sleep. It doesn't have melatonin. It has everything your body needs to get back to recovery, to get a good workout in. Use the promo code NDOZZZ to get a discounted checkout. Do you think we have enough, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you think that we are creating enough strong men like our great-grandfathers and grandfathers were to actually join the military? Or are we just too soft and the military participation is going to shrink because people don't do hard things?
The sad thing is to ask that question and not be able to answer it immediately or quickly. I don't know, and that's not a good answer.
So almost means no.
Yeah.
From that standpoint. If it's not a yes, it's probably a no in this situation. Yeah. The maybe doesn't fall towards the yes, we have enough. And we see it. See it on a continual basis that people don't do hard things. I have made a point to do something hard. I want to challenge myself. Me personally. And for me, it's being disciplined throughout my exercising and diet, right? Those are it's not easy to wake up at 3:50 in the morning. It's not easy to go to the gym every single day and work out. It's not easy to do that. That's something hard that I do every single day that I choose to do. Mm-hmm. Now, your job may be hard, but it's a different kind of thing. Are you choosing to do something else that doesn't necessarily monetarily provide for you? You know, are you choosing to do something hard each day? And do we put our kids in situations where they choose to do something hard? Or do we protect them and tell them it's okay? Or do we lower the standards of what hard is? Do we push them to the point where they suffer, right? Like, you know, not painfully suffer, but suffer through something because it's not easy. Do we always set them up for success? Or do we set them up to have moments of failure knowing it will lead to success? We'd like to think that we do one, but I think there's an overwhelming majority of people that don't.
Oh no, that's 100% on the nose. I want to. I always want to set my kids up for success.
Mhm.
I think we want that, but there's going to be failures. They will fail. It's how do they react to it, and how do you allow them to react to it is the key, I think. But no, allowing them to fail in a controlled environment, is that what we want to do, or just allowing them to fail in an uncontrolled environment? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize that when we talk about failure, we're talking about things that aren't going to destroy them in life if they fail at. You know, these are the daily struggles, the daily failures met with the daily successes. I think
I'll give you a couple of examples.
okay.
My daughter brings me a paper that she's written. I read over it. I see mistakes. I go, reread this area here and tell me what you see.
Yes.
Controlled failure.
Yes. That you're not saying like, I don't know, figure it out and then let her get a D on the paper because you saw something.
Correct.
But you also didn't say third paragraph needs to be rewritten. Sentences 3 and 4, absolutely garbage. Your closing statement in that paragraph, horrible. Rewrite it this way. You didn't point it out. You said this area, go figure it out.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it. So that is still creating thought and not giving them the script to get it right.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. Like, I think that is key. Doing what you did right there. I'm like, I try to do that more. Hey, you missed this one. What did I do? You got it wrong. Figure it out. Let me know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was an example of a controlled environment. An uncontrolled environment, I hope it doesn't happen, but I hope that these failures that we deal with them in these controlled environments, and they work through them with us, or not with us, but work through them and become successful, they'll be able to do or work through an uncontrolled possible failure away from us. Does it make sense?
Yeah. I don't know if I experienced enough failure. I don't know if anyone knows if they experienced enough failure throughout life, even dating back to grandparents, great grandparents, you know, the greatest generation as they called themselves. But I don't know if I don't know how you actually judge if you experience enough failure, right? We know that failing breeds success if you have, you know, the mental fortitude to fight through it.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to condition ourselves to be okay with it. But I don't know if anyone is, I don't know what is the right amount of exposure to it in order to succeed. You know, I don't think that there's an answer to that question.
There's not an objective answer, I don't think.
No.
Subjectively, it all depends. There's guys that you know, they're not in a household that has mom and dad together, and so, you know,
that's the type of failure. Yeah, that is
right. That's a failure, and then they deal with a lot of failure, be it with a single mom or with a single dad, mostly single mom, but they deal with a lot of failure, seeing what mom has to struggle through and or dad has to struggle through, not seeing dad.
Yeah, I guess
it's very subjective.
It's definitely something where we're using the word failure whenever it's more about the struggle. It's not necessarily about failing. It's about the struggle. How much struggle can you handle? How much adversity can you handle? And though I think that's the type of thing. And I think that is the part where we don't have enough of that, as we were talking. I don't think we have enough of that in order for our military to grow. I don't think we have enough people that experience enough struggle or embrace the struggle enough to join.
Let me give you a real life example, because that's great. Middle school kid, 11 or 13, who saw a teammate express himself in a negative way, didn't like it, now wants to quit the football team.
Which kid? The one
I'm sorry. One of the kids on the team saw another kid on the team, our team, express himself negatively, didn't like it, now doesn't want to be on the team.
Because he saw his teammate do that?
That's correct.
He doesn't want to be around a teammate like that.
Yes, that's correct. And that is not going to get this kid, he's going to struggle. If that's how he has to circumvent or get through this bump in the road, if that's the way that he wants to do it, because he's going to, as you get older, you're going to work with people that don't see eye to eye with you, that don't see things the way that you see things, and they may cause some mayhem. So, I'm going to quit and walk away from that. That's a problem for me. Going along with what you said, the struggles that people see, this kid's got to work through this struggle.
I think that kid is closer to being a leader than what he realizes.
How so? Which one? The one that wants to quit?
The one who wants to quit because of the way that his teammate acted. And the reason why I say that is because he did not respect his teammate for the way that he acted. Didn't respect that. Knew that that's not the proper way to be a teammate. Wanted to be away from that situation of someone acting in a way that doesn't help the team, basically, was what I'm sensing, right? That his act out is not going to benefit the guys that he's playing this sport with. And this kid saw that act out as not a positive. Now it's up to that kid to see that, be confident enough to call his teammate on that, and that starts to establish a leadership. Most kids are going to just dismiss it and have no big opinion of it whatsoever. This kid was given, it provoked enough emotion to have a strong opinion that he didn't want to be around it. If that kid right there can take that strong emotion and channel it back to the guy to let him know that we need you, we can't handle this isn't going to help us, I think he's closer to that than the kid who just looked at him and walked away.
In that aspect, okay, I agree. I was going to be like, what are you talking about? You don't quit because you had a teammate who emotionally expressed himself the wrong way.
Yeah.
Now, if you're saying, if he goes back and he says, hey, we can't have that on the
That's
team.
What I'm saying. Like, I'm saying his reaction is not, I'm just saying that his reaction, I think, puts him in a spot that's closer to be a leader than the person who just walked right past and had no opinion of it. Now,
that's a different way of looking at it, yes.
Now, whether or not he can get there will depend on whether or not he becomes a quitter or a leader. But I think that kid, without meeting him, knowing anything about him, if that provoked that much reaction, someone's just got to give him the confidence to approach that teammate. And I think that is where the leadership would come from.
I don't know how you got that, but that is good. That's good. Because if he does come back and say, look, this is what happened, didn't like it, why did you do it? Can we get better from this?
And what is he doing? He's holding his teammate
accountable. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
We do.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna use that. That's good. Didn't think about it that way. I thought about it more as the situations happen. We're going to control it. We're going to handle it. He'll get better. If not, then he's got to go. No. We don't need you to quit on us.
No,
because you saw that.
No, I need you to react in a different way.
Yeah.
We need you to take that emotion that you had to where you were so mad you wanted to quit, be so mad that he didn't help the team.
Yeah, that's right. That's good.
So, no, I mean, you're the one where that thought came from, just because of the way that you talked to me about how, my kid is competitive, right? A lot of kids are competitive. I know, but I know that the one that I live with is really competitive. Hates to lose more than he likes to win. Gets frustrated, emotional, will come to tears, and you're like, hey, he's crying because he doesn't know how to get that out. So tears are the thing from a baby. Like that's where that trait comes from. Because as a baby, you can't verbalize, so you cry to let mom know, let dad know, hey, I need this, whatever.
Right.
Well, they have to mature, and by maturing and finding a different way to let that out, it's tears right now, and then the tears turn into something else, but you got to get to that something else. And to me, that kid right there, in my head, when I heard you, I started thinking about what we had a conversation about a long time ago. And that's that kid. That it went from tears to this to quitting, but man, that could turn the other way real quick. So as a coach mentor, you got to get him back that other way.
Yeah.
And
using it.
So
I wasn't there. Honestly, I wasn't there. But you've got me redirecting my thought process there. That's good. That's good. We need more of that. But we need it more with the younger generation. That's why I like working with younger coaches as well.
Yeah, so talk to you about a new pre-workout. It's not loaded with caffeine like a lot of the other pre-workouts, but it is based in nootropics, which actually helps brain function. It's going to get you ready for the workout. I'm a 5 a.m.er. I need it. A lot of flavors. Hit the link in the description. It'll take you to the website. You'll get a new dad order discount. Pick your flavor. Bunch of other products as well. They have canned energy drinks. Thanks for listening. Check out Dubby. Well, and the younger coaches too they started with the participation trophy. They are part of the participation trophy. If you're 25 years old, you were prime in participation trophy era.
Oh yeah.
That's where that goes. And getting back to the speech that this conversation was started around.
Yeah.
I think that the lowering standards that he mentioned in his speech and allowing leadership to be established because the standards were lower. And he's like, that's where toxic leadership comes from. That's what corporate America ends up being a lot of just a lot of yes men. And these standards are lowered. And then with those standards being lowered, you basically have a lot of people that are achieving success through participation trophy avenues. Like, because the standards were lowered, because we have to meet a quota, here's your participation trophy, and you get a promotion because you're hitting that. Wow. I think it extends. I think all of that is an extension of the way we have slowly decayed through society by not celebrating strong achievements. We really don't. Why someone didn't get it gets discussed more than look how hard they worked for it.
We used to do that though.
I feel like we did.
We used to do that. We used to do that a lot.
When you win a championship, I think it's turned the corner a little bit. We got the same size trophy. Like the second place team got the same size trophy as the first place team. But whenever we were kids, you got the big trophy if your team won the championship, and everybody else got this little, this little one. Nothing like, hey, notice what we got, and then it just turned it. Oh, just get the same one. And maybe it was cost effective to do that way too. I don't know. We don't celebrate strength a whole lot.
Going back to his speech, I don't know if we mentioned this, but we probably did not. I liked when he said, "Those unwilling to embrace his vision should consider resigning or transferring."
Basically put him on notice.
Yeah. And that's why I liked a lot of what he presented.
It was very common sense. I think that is his whole speech. If you enjoyed his speech, in the end, I don't know what he said that wasn't simply common sense. I don't know. There was nothing that he said that was groundbreaking thoughts.
To being a warrior, yes.
To be,
Yeah.
specifically talking about the military, but even applying it to, there was so much of that 45 minutes that you can apply to our society. And so much of it was such common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really was. And it's crazy that a common sense approach is getting this much emotion out of us, but I think that's how much common sense has been played down.
I've been in this world of coaching football for the past 14 years. And I've seen the growth of wokeness. Now there's a lot of parents who don't like that, especially here in Louisiana.
Yeah, in the
right?
deep south, red state.
Here in Louisiana, but I still saw it where 1 year it was bad. I think we needed to hear Hegseth come out and talk like this.
Yes, that there are people in leadership roles in this country that do feel that way.
Yes.
So, with that being said, to flip this back to a couple episodes ago, whenever we talked about Kimmel and a little bit of the Charlie Kirk post stuff and the military being stationed in certain states and cities around the United States.
National Guard thing.
So the National Guard being called into cities like New Orleans and Washington, D.C. and Chicago and wherever else they may send them. I listened to this man speak about the fact that you are training for war and the object of war is to kill your enemy. That is what these soldiers are training for. Do we really, really want that in the streets of America? Someone is being trained to kill, not to serve and protect. We are not the Department of Defense. We are the Department of War. Soldiers, warriors, words that he used in his speech, and people in this great state of ours are applauding our puppet governor for trying to get the National Guard, who are members of the Department of War, to serve and protect. Meanwhile, these guys are trained to kill.
Yeah,
I don't want it, man.
No.
You know?
Yeah, when you put it that way, man.
Maybe it's putting a little more emphasis on what it is, but that's the way I hear it in my head. And I couldn't help but think of that conversation that you and I had about the National Guard being deployed into U.S. cities and the way it made me felt then, and then hearing him speak now and having that same thought in the back of my head, listening to this and thinking about what he's talking about and what the goal of the military is, and then placing those guys in the streets of America is not a good situation.
No. Yeah, I mean, look, restoring war ethos over ideological priorities. Well, he repeatedly framed the reforms as a return to fundamental martial values, lethality, discipline, toughness, and clarity of mission. So he contrasted this with what he described as the decay of the woke Department of Defense. And that's why it's called the Department of War.
Or War Department, yeah. We're going to put what it is. We're not going to shy away from what it actually is.
This is what it is.
You know.
We're going to, if we have to go to war, we're going to kill you.
Well, we have, for good and bad, a society of acceptance. A lot of good has come out of forcing people to accept certain things that you didn't always agree with from an ideological standpoint. And that's fine. You can't be closed-minded. You have to be open-minded. You have to try to understand situations. You can't just shut down because it doesn't agree with what your thought is. Looking for affirmation is never going to be as good as looking for information. And when we start to think about the cultures of the countries that we are going to war with, they do not parallel the acceptance rate that we do here in the United States.
Oh, no.
The Islamic culture, they're not exactly big fans of women, gays. I'm pretty sure if you brought up the term DEI to the Taliban, they wouldn't quite know what you meant. Russia, not exactly acceptance of all forms of the way people live their life.
I mean, let's
China.
I mean, look at Russia, right? Russia, when they were running out of troops, they were just going and grabbing guys off the street.
and putting them,
and put them in uniform. Let's go.
I mean, China owns all intellectual property of their entire citizens. You know,
Yeah.
like you don't, like you don't even own your own thoughts there. That is not the way our country is founded. But those are the biggest threats, so to speak, to the United States. Or, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, the Middle East, Russia, China, that's the biggest areas. And then even, I mean, on the homeland where you start talking about the illegal immigration, where the people who are immigrating from South and Central America are trying to get away from controlled societies that are most of them in a military state, that were civil wars. They don't have a ton of rights down there. And that's why they're trying to get to a place that actually has, protects their citizens,
right?
And goes out their way to protect citizens, to the point of making so many laws that we have too many lawyers because we have so many freaking laws to protect people. And he's saying that, in his speech, we need to get back to some basics here when it comes to the military. And I think we need to get back to some basics here whenever it comes to society. One of those basics is probably that book that we could probably pick up and read called the Bible.
Yes,
and there's probably some getting back to basics right there that would help a lot from people to give some perspective on the way we need to try to live our life.
Right. I don't know if you know who Jocko Willink is.
Yeah. Navy SEAL.
Yeah. Former Navy SEAL and now business owner, author.
Yeah. No, I'll pick up. In fact, I got some of the supplements in the cabinet right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He is a supporter of Hegseth. I don't know. I think they might have worked together while they were in the in special forces. They might have, but he basically said that Hegseth coming in, there will be collateral damage.
Yeah.
There will be collateral damage. I like that he said that.
No, Jocko is, I didn't hear that. Now that you say that, I'll have to try to find where Jocko did talk about Hegseth and see what his thoughts are. Not, he's a guy that's not afraid to speak his opinion. So if he likes him or doesn't like him, you were going to hear it one way or another.
Yeah.
He's not going to rah-rah just because this guy, is military. So yeah, Jocko.
Yeah, he broke down, this is a few months ago that he said this. And of course, this is popping up now because of the speech. There's all kinds of stuff just popping up now. And he talked about that and how they reduced the amount of generals and admirals that they had. And I think he talked about how there were so many more admirals and generals today versus before we started the World War II. We didn't have that many. And we got away from leveraging the majors and the colonels and having them do more work. And that there was really no need for the amount of generals and admirals that we have in today's armies. Army, Navy, Air Force. Wasn't worried about the Marines because they're always running lean.
That makes sense. I mean, it's almost, should that be a role, generals and admirals, should there only be a finite number of those in active service at a time, whatever the number may be, right? Should there only be X amount and no one's getting a promotion until someone retires, rather than continuing?
Yes, that's the way it should be.
Because
I know there are no 5-star generals until there's a war. If there's a war, then you have a 5-star general that's leading all the branches.
But then does it become political, where who's going to become the next general, and then you're kind of campaigning to be able to be the one, and I guess that's the number. When you have a finite number of them, then these roles become manipulated. And so I don't know. I mean, talking myself through it, I was like, yes, it sounds like it would be a good idea. But then you create this nepotism, you create this favoritism, you create all these different avenues to where these finite positions could be manipulated to not necessarily get the best one, to where you have, if the president has a control over it, then he's going to want to appoint a general that aligns more with his viewpoint. And then, so you know what, maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe it's just no, this guy doesn't meet the standards and we don't need any more. And so keep on trying, bro.
Yeah.
And 180 on my own thoughts. Sorry. had to talk it through. Wasn't quite sure. It sounded like a good idea. You agreed with it. And then I just told you that it's a bad idea, Ray. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's in concept, it sounds like a great idea. We have 20 generals. Okay, Michael died. We got 5 in waiting because that's what they do with other like NCOs, lieutenants. There's a certain amount that you can have. I mean, they do it in police force too.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
know.
certain amount that you can have of sergeants or whatever. And when it opens up, all the eligible sergeants, the 3 stripes or the 4 stripes or the E6s, going to be an E7. There's a list of them. When a job opens up, those guys are considered. And then one of those guys get picked.
Yeah.
But I think that had changed.
Well, we started picking to hit quotas.
That's correct.
And that's kind of what Hegseth was getting at.
So now he's saying, nope, we're going back to this. And when it's available, you'll get the spot. And I think that's why he's been just cutting guys. Gone.
Yeah, every company goes through it. And not to say that the U.S. military is a company, but I think you have a CEO that is everyone's favorite at a major corporation. This guy's great. Things start to decline because of that approach. And then they go complete 180 to the CEO that everybody hates and is completely hard-nosed and absolutely no remorse for anyone. And the company starts to uptick into a certain way. And then that runs its course to where now you have a lack of productivity because no one wants to be around this person because they're so miserable. And then they flip it back to the other way to go to someone like, hey, let's boost morale. Let's have somebody who actually incorporates ideas, has different thinking, and then that succeeds. And so
you got to find a guy that's right there in the middle.
There's no such,
not easy.
Yeah, there's no such thing. And
there is.
Maybe it's not. You see it with sports teams. The coach, every fan loves the coach that it's like the hard ass coach, the one that's just on his players. Oh, yeah, man, that's the way you got to do it. Now, if you were a professional athlete or a college athlete or whoever, I mean, would you really want to sign up for the guy who's known as the meanest coach out there? Or would you want to go one that's like, I love my players and I go to bat for them, super chill, good music on Fridays during practice? Like, yeah, like you want to go to the place that's fun. But as a fan, you want the coach that's, the hardest one out there. As a player, you want the one that's the coolest one.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that, not to say our military should be like that, but I think Hegseth is he's the guy that's like, hey, let's go 180 on this stuff. We've done enough of the, inclusionary aspect of it, and we're going to shake things up and go hardcore the other way.
Right.
And then it'll run I'll run my course. People will be tired of me at some point in time, and then someone can come back in here and then they can soften the mood and bring it back, the other way.
No, overall, I think we both agree. We enjoyed.
No, enjoyed his speech. Mm-hmm. Not only enjoyed his speech, but also enjoyed the thoughts that it provoked for myself, and just kind of listening to it and listened to it twice. I listened to it the first time and took it all in, and then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to go back and see where my head goes, knowing what he was about to talk about. And that's whenever a lot of the societal thoughts started to pop in my head, the way we view things as a culture, the way things that he spoke of could be applied to a daily life scenario. No, not often do I go back and listen to someone's speech. It's got to be something good. It's kind of like reading a book twice. Like you must have really got something out of the first time and you're looking for the second thing out of it. And I think this was one of those situations for myself.
I listened to it twice myself, a third time, just to make sure I heard what I heard. The guy's not going to be perfect.
No, no one expects him to be.
And I'm like, it could be a verbiage thing. And we talked about it last episode. I hope that my slippery slope, the things that came off as him trying to say no more DEI versus we're going to use merit, is not going to come off the wrong way either.
No. I don't think it was. I think it was just, it was a talking point to realize that in a perfect world, I want to believe what he's saying, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that that's not, they're not passing over because he is. But like you said, low-hanging fruit, when in doubt, call someone a name And will people call him a name because he's saying go the other way? Probably. But you know what? Time will tell. And, some celebrity will do something and everybody will forget about his speech anyways, because the news will tell us that we need to pay attention to the royal family being pregnant. But
well, you're right. Time will tell. This is going to, it's what I always tell people, like they just got in, but we've heard about everything they've done in the last 8 months. I know Biden came in and did a lot of whatever he did in the beginning, but didn't hear much from him after that.
Yeah. And I'm way more confident in hearing people speak like Hegseth than what I am whenever I hear the president speak, because one guy is speaking about something that he knows entirely about and something that he is passionate about and something that he genuinely cares about. And the other guy is up there to public speak. And that goes for any president. They're up there to appeal to the masses. And that's what politicians do now. And I would like to hope that our military leaders steer away from being a politician, lead the military in the way that it needs to lead, and, continue to make us have a safe place to sleep at night.
Agreed.
Thank everybody for joining us on this episode, the second part of talking about Hegseth's speech. Went down a few different avenues, but, it was a fun discussion and thought-provoking to say the least. But make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment below. Check out his speech if you still haven't checked it out. It's something to listen to, and I think that most people would benefit from hearing it. Also, give us a follow on Spotify as well. And until next time, we'll see you on
New Dad Order.